Good afternoon, everyone. We are now live in Autodesk Community Philippines Facebook page and CAD Community Asia for Design a Smarter and Build Faster using the connected, flexible, and powerful workflows of Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. Inviting you to please do share our live stream to your classmates, to your colleagues, or to those who you know might be interested to join this training. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so inviting you to please do register for our session, Design Smarter and Build Faster using Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. So you can see this event in our meetup.com/Autodesk Community Philippines, where you will see the registration form. Okay, I'll be adding Jo Mark as my co-host. Good afternoon.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. And yeah, looking forward to know more about BIM Collaborate Pro. So if you think this live stream is beneficial to someone you know, please invite them to join us, most especially to our students and professionals in the world of AEC, architecture, engineering, and construction. Okay, so yes, please do register now for you to be able to have a certificate of event participation. Okay, so our speaker or sharer this afternoon is Deepak Maini from which is currently based in Australia. He's also an Autodesk expert elite and a frequent Autodesk University speaker. Okay, so once more, thank you to Philippine Society of Mechanical Engineers and the United Architects of the Philippines. Okay, Miss Delcy?
Okay, just to add, Deepak is also a multiple award winning international speaker and is also a qualified mechanical engineer. He is currently works at the National Technical Manager at CAD Group Australia. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be adding Sir Deepak Maini. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nelsie. Good afternoon, Joe Mark. Really appreciate the opportunity you've given me to come and talk to the students of Philippines. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor.
Okay, yep. And before we formally start, probably I'll be asking a few questions to you for everyone to warm things up. Okay, for everyone to be familiar with Deepak, I guess the first question is why? Because we have many students here who are mechanical engineers. Why did you opted to be a to take up mechanical engineering?
So, growing up, I used to break a lot of things, and then I was one of those people who would try to put them together. So the natural progression in that was to do the engineering side of it. But which engineering, what I wanted to do wasn't something that I kind of got into till late. When I started getting into machines and trying to figure out what machines do, so that kind of got me into mechanical engineering.
Yeah, and I guess you're familiar with Filipinos who love who prefers going to work abroad. Any advice, especially to the young ones out there who are planning or dreaming of having a job overseas?
Yes, definitely. Number one key rule: work hard. There is no alternate to working hard. I remember when I took my first ever job, I used to leave home at about 6:15 in the morning and used to come back at about 6, 7, 8 in the night. But the hard work that I put in the first couple of years of my professional life is what is paying me even right now. So work hard and always, always, always be willing to learn more. Always keep your eyes and ears open to learn more. These two things will take you higher up in your professional life.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess most of our viewers as well would like to go and work to specifically Australia. Any advice for them who are planning? Any tips on how to land a job in Australia, possibly?
Oh well, you put me on the spot. Uh, because that side of it is not my expertise. I don't want to give an advice that doesn't make sense. But I reckon hardworking people are needed everywhere in the world. It's not only just Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, and US, and
Yeah.
even Europe. So, as I said, just work hard, concentrate, and keep learning new technology. And once you keep learning new technology, you will find good opportunities wherever you want.
And yeah, can you share to us what are your current role in CAD Group?
Yeah, so my current role is I'm the national technical manager for named accounts. Named accounts for CAD Group are the top 100 customers around the country. So I look after them from technical perspective. And when I say technical perspective, I'm talking about presenting all the latest technologies to them, talking about their day-to-day challenges and workflows, and if there are some issues, how do we resolve those issues, that kind of stuff. And I work closely with a few of my colleagues around the country in delivering the solutions to these customers around the country.
Yep. So basically, you handle, are we correct, the AEC segment?
That is correct. So I switched over into the AEC space around 2008. Till 2008, I used to do more manufacturing and mechanical stuff. In 2008, I switched over to the AEC space where I now look after, as I said, our top AEC customers, which includes mainly architectural, because architecture and design space is where our main domain is, but a lot of construction customers and obviously engineering as well.
Okay, so to our viewers out there, participants, feel free to ask questions after Deepak's share or presentation. So, yeah, Deepak, if you have a slide or something to share, you may share it now.
All right, brilliant. Thank you. So let me know when you're able to see my screen.
Yep, full screen. Seeing it now.
Fantastic. All right, brilliant. So, as I said, I'm really privileged to get the opportunity to talk to the Filipino students, especially in the AEC space. My name is Deepak Maini, and as Nelsie and Joe Mark already introduced me, I'm a mechanical engineer, been in the industry for almost 22 years now. I'm also really blessed that I get to travel around the world and do talks at various conferences around the world. I've won a few awards also at Autodesk University and also at Bluebeam Conference. I also get to talk to various students at various universities locally as well as overseas. So I'm a guest lecturer at University of Technology Sydney and University of New South Wales. And in addition, I also do talks at universities overseas, such as Virginia Tech University in the US and University of Salford in UK. I've written a few books as well. So books on programs like Navisworks, Advanced Steel, Bluebeam Review, and so on. So today's presentation is about a program called BIM Collaborate Pro, which used to be called as BIM 360 Design till a few weeks back. So why did I want to talk about this? Because with you guys sitting in the Philippines, you know this more than anybody else, that um, the design industry, especially the AEC industry now, not just the design industry, AEC industry, is focusing on collaboration. And in Philippines, you've got a lot of these companies, a lot of these organizations that are actually delivering solutions to the AEC firms around the world. I know some of our customers have got offices in Manila and a few other places in Philippines. So effective collaboration is the number one industry demand now. It's no more one of those nice to have features. And because BIM, which is Building Information Modeling, centers on collaboration, so the teams need to be equipped to deal with it no matter what. The problem, though, is that collaboration is still a massive challenge in the industry. All these different firms that need to collaborate together, which could be your architectural firms, your mechanical firms, electrical, plumbing, structure, hydraulics, fire, all these firms still sit within their own silos and within their own offices and work within their own environment, which means that they're not really collaborating with the rest of the extended project teams. And not only that, there are also a lot of extended teams, and we are talking about field executives, we are talking about inspections and checklists, we are talking about bidding and tenders and so on. So we've got so much data related to a project, and because we don't see that collaborative workflow, a lot of this data is lost in translation, a lot of this data is lost during the project. And what it does, it basically ends up being one of those issues where the people not getting the right information in the field, and then they're delivering the projects that are not supposed to be delivered the way they are. And then it becomes a he said, she said kind of thing where nobody wants to take the blame. I saw this photograph. I don't know if it is photoshopped or whatever it is, but it looks like one of those disasters in the construction environment. This, I actually know what city it is in, so I don't want to talk about this, but this is a structural engineer's nightmare. How could this happen on a project? Um, so if you're not collaborating on the projects, this is what generally ends up happening. But having said that, I always tell this to the students in my classes that it's not just the technology. You also need to make sure that there's some common sense involved in the process as well. So technology can only take you to certain places. After that, it is also common sense. So this photograph actually gives me a nightmare. So I don't know if it is true or not. And the worst part of this is that there's actually a workbench right behind the guy, and he's using one of these interns as a workbench. So technology can only take you to certain places. After that, you also need to have some common sense and some basic understanding of what you're doing. So what is the solution? How do we make sure that we don't come up with those kind of disasters every now and then? The solution is BIM Collaborate Pro. Now, what is BIM Collaborate Pro? BIM Collaborate Pro is a cloud subscription that basically connects the entire AC project team with the centralized access to project data in the cloud. So the key here is that your project data is on the cloud. This is a massive, massive lifesaver for so many projects, not only in Australia, but around the world, especially when the pandemic hit. People had to work from home. Imagine if they had to access their data back in the office through VPN and so on. It would have been an absolute disaster. And this is where Autodesk was well placed in this field, where they were able to provide solution to the industry, where no matter where you are located geographically, you could access the data which was hosted on the cloud, which means that you didn't have to worry about VPNing into the office servers or trying to figure out how to access that data. So BIM Collaborate Pro was a massive, massive lifesaver for the AC industry when the pandemic hit and when everybody had to work from homes. At that time, it was basically branded as BIM 360 Design, and now it's called BIM Collaborate Pro. There are four main components of BIM Collaborate Pro, and as AC professionals or would-be professionals, students are really, really they need to be interested in this kind of technology, and they need to be interested in what basically this solution is, because at the end of the day, when they finish their graduation, when they finish their studies, when they go to the industry, this is what they would be delivering. The product could be different, but the technology would still be the same. So there are four main components of this particular technology or product, which is called BIM Collaborate Pro. The first one is what we call as Docs or Autodesk Docs. It used to be called as BIM 360 Docs. That's your underlying file repository layer. So when we say we need to host a project on the cloud, this is our file repository layer where we are uploading our files for us to be able to access from anywhere we want. This platform has got viewers for about 50 different file formats. So you can upload a file and you can just click on that file and you can preview it rather than worrying about downloading viewers and so on to view those files. If you work with Office 365, it's got direct connectivity with Office 365 as well. It has massive, massive permission options where you can control who gets access to what data using permissions. And those permissions can actually be made really easy based on roles. So for example, for projects that I normally set up, I create roles, for example, a role called architectural designer. And I can say the architectural designer role has permissions to these folders only. So when I'm adding members to my project, I can decide what role they get. And as a result, they automatically get permissions to the right set of folders. Um, Version comparison is one of my favorite features of this program, and I'll show you an example of this. What this does is, and this is again, as the AEC students right now and would be professionals, this is something that you need to concentrate on a lot as to what different versions of the program or the model or the design did and what were the changes. So this program has got version comparison where, let's say we had version 5 of the file uploaded there, and a couple of weeks later we've got version 6 or version 7, and I was away from project for a couple of weeks. I now need to find out what are the changes that happened in the project during these 2 weeks, so I can compare those two versions and find out what those changes are. We can also create issues and markups. I'm a big fan of issue management process where if I need to get something fixed, I can create an issue and I can assign it to a user or a role or a company, and they get notified straight away that there's an action that they need to perform. And as they perform those actions, I get notified about the actions that have been taken on those issues. I'll show you an example of this as well in live demonstration. The second part is cloud work sharing, which is the key focus of this presentation as well, where, as I mentioned earlier, the data is hosted on the cloud, which means that I can easily access the data from wherever I am in the world. But most importantly, for programs like Revit or Civil 3D or Plant 3D, I can have the data hosted on the cloud, and multiple members of my team can continue working on the same model or same project at the same time. We also have controlled work sharing, and which is again something that I'll explain in detail in a few minutes. The next one here is design collaboration, which is an amazing feature. And this is where the AEC industry struggled till a couple of years back, where yes, I'm working within my own space. I'm working within the architectural space, but now I need to share the design with the structural space, or I need to share the design with the mechanical, electrical, plumbing services, and so on. And this design collaboration module or feature allows you to perform controlled work sharing. So you can decide what you want to share with the extended project teams, and that way they get the access to the right information. That way they can design their model around your design easily. The last feature is model coordination, which is our automated clash detection process. Again, something that the AEC industry struggled for a very long time is the fact that we used to use Navisworks, and I love Navisworks. We used to use Navisworks for clash detection, but then for that we had to get the model delivered to someone, and they had to run clashes and so on. And it was a long drawn process. Whereas the model coordination module inside BIM Collaborate Pro now lets you perform automated clash detection. And again, I'll show you an example of this. And then once you have performed automated clashes, you can go to a particular clash, you can create an issue, and you can say, or you can notify certain individual or a role or a company for them to fix those issues. I just want to quickly talk about Revit model work sharing a bit more in detail here, because this is something that I get asked a lot as to why are we hosting model on the cloud? What are the advantages? And the advantage is the fact that cloud work sharing gives you what we call as Revit Accelerator. And the job of Revit Accelerator is to look at your local Revit model and regularly compare it with the cloud model, and it delta transfers the changes. And anybody who works with Revit would realize the fact that because Revit is not a multi-user access database, when I'm syncing to the central model, anybody else who needs to sync will have to wait in the queue. So what Revit Accelerator or Personal Accelerator does is it delta transfers the changes, and it prefetches the changes as well for you, which means that after you've modified the model and you press the sync button to sync to the central, it takes a lot lesser time. So that means you can very easily work with extended project teams and extended members, no matter where they are located. And you're not wasting a lot of time of your team members for them waiting in the queue for you to finish your syncing process. It also works really well in a single discipline environment. It works really well in multidisciplinary environment as well. But single discipline environment, for example, during pandemic, a lot of architectural firms had to have their employees work from home. So even in that environment where they could host the data on the cloud, no matter where the employees or the architects were located, they could easily access the data because it was hosted in the cloud. And because of the personal accelerator, it was helping them speed up the process of syncing a lot, although they were working from different locations. It also gives you access to a module called Insight, which is your AI or artificial intelligence based module that gives you predictions on your project. It gives you various predictions on your risks related to your project or your quality or safety issues and so on. And again, something I'll show you a live example of that. So if I switch over to my interface here, so currently, I'm looking at a project, and this is my Insight, which is like my project homepage. Gives me artificial intelligence-based predictions as to how my project is performing. It's currently telling me that I've got 24 design issues, out of which 3 are answered. 24 are still open issues. It's giving me information about various companies those issues are assigned to, any approvals that are pending, and the root causes of my main issues. So that's my project homepage. Then this is the document management or the docs interface where I've got my underlying file repository here, and I can see various project folders here. So I've got the architecture folder, I've got the mechanical, electrical, plumbing folder, because in this case, it's a unified MEP model. I've got the structure folder and so on. So the way the program works is by default, each discipline will only have access to their own folders. So for example, the architecture discipline will not be able to see the mechanical, electrical, plumbing folder or the structure folder. The reason I can see all this is because I'm the project admin. So as a project admin, I get access to everything. But if there was an architect there who I would have given, let's say, a role called architecture designer or architect, I can control the permissions, and I can say that that user or that role or that company only gets access to these folders. So I can control the permissions based on the names. I can control permissions based on roles, or I can go and control permissions based on individuals as well. So a really robust way of controlling permissions as to who get access to what. Now, going into Revit side of it, if I go into my Revit program, because I'm project admin, when I go to this particular project here, I get access to all these project folders. But as I said, if it was one of the project members, let's say the architecture member or the MEP member, they only get access to their folder. They don't get access to any other folder. So let's say I'm working on the unified mechanical, electrical, plumbing model. This model is hosted on the cloud, and that's why it's telling me that it's a work shared cloud model. I can click on it, and the job of Personal Accelerator then is, as soon as I open this model, although it is hosted on the cloud, I can quickly open this model. Obviously, it takes a bit longer when you open it for the first time. After that, it creates a local cache and only downloads the changes. So that's, as soon as I open this model, the Personal Accelerator starts kicking in, and it starts to look at my local model and compare it with the cloud model, and it starts to download the changes as we are working on this model. Once I have finished working on this model, when I go and say sync to Cloud Central, it's syncing. So let's say made changes to the electrical fit outs or whatever. So what it's now doing is, as you could see, it has already downloaded most of the changes. It's now uploading only the changes that I made to the project, which in this case weren't too many. So it's only uploading about 1.5 megs of data, and then it's saving a local copy as well. So once this information is synced to Cloud Central, any member of my team, MEP team, which is working on this live model, will be able to see my changes. So because the model is hosted on the cloud, I can easily access it from wherever I want. Now, once I'm done with this model, I can also start publishing it. So publishing is where I can have this model available on the Docs platform for non-Revit members to use. So for example, let's say if I go to the MEP folder here, any non-Revit members could simply come to this folder till the time they've got access to this. They can simply click on this model and they can open it and they can start working on it. So let's say I've got some engineers on the project. They don't use Revit. They only look at it from the browser side. So they can start looking at various views that I've created. In this case, as you could see, I've got mechanical, electrical, and plumbing views separate. I've got my unified view here as well, so I can have a look at this unified view. But as I said, most importantly, I can also compare different versions of this. So let's say the engineer was away from the project for a couple of weeks. When they get back, they can say, all right, let me compare different versions of this model. So in this case, let's say I want to compare version 6 against version 3 of this model. I can pick the view that I want to compare this in. So let's say I want to compare it in the clash detection view. And as soon as I click compare, it now starts to compare the two versions of the model. And then it comes up with the window showing me anything that has been added, deleted, or modified. So I can very easily review this. So it's telling me that nothing was added, nothing was removed, but there were 1,471 elements modified. So pretty much the entire model has been modified between these two versions. You can actually see all these changes ghosted out here as well. I can also go and say modification type. I can look at various modification type, discipline affected. I can also look at different results. If I click on any of these elements, I can see what the changes were between the two versions of the model. In this case, there have been changes to the Omni class because this was a model that was set up for facilities management. So the Omni class of the project was modified. So it gives you a very good, clear understanding of this. But the last bit, which is my favorite, is the fact that it gives you access to automated clash detection, which is our module here called Model Coordination Module. So what Model Coordination Module basically does is it lets you create what we call as coordination space. So coordination space is where you are uploading the files and it automatically runs clash detection between those files uploaded there. In my case, I'm a big fan of using this folder here called shared folder as my coordination space. Now, what is the shared folder? This is one of the best features of BIM Collaborate Pro. So when you're working with BIM Collaborate Pro, when you've got your model hosted on the cloud, when you share your project data with the rest of the team, so if I go into my design collaboration module, when you share your project data with the extended project teams, the concept here is that you can create what we call as packages, and you can share those packages with the extended teams. As I mentioned earlier, by default, if I'm let's say MEP, I don't get access to the architecture or the structure folder. But I need to design my mechanical, electrical, plumbing services around structure. So in that case, what structure would do is, and we would normally mention this in our BIM execution plan, that for the first 6 months, we want all the disciplines, especially structure and architecture, to share their design, let's say, every week, or it could be twice a week or whatever it is. So let's say every week we want to share our designs with the extended teams. So what structure could do is they could go and say, I want to share my design with the rest of the team. They would then go and create what we call as a package. And basically a package is nothing but a combination of views and sheets that you want to share with your extended team. So in this case, the structure team has shared this 3D model with a couple of sheets as well. So the whole idea is, as soon as they share this package with the extended team, their structure model is automatically copied from the structure folder onto the shared folder under structure. So it happens automatically as soon as they share their package or as soon as they share their design. Similarly, as soon as architecture shares their design is automatically copied from their folder into the shared architecture folder. It happens automatically. So that's the really cool feature of this technology. And because all the shared or released packages are automatically copied in this folder called shared, that's why I prefer using this shared folder as one of the coordination spaces. The whole idea is, as soon as a model or a package is shared into any of these folders, the model coordination module then reads the 3D views in those models and runs automated clashes between all those views and the elements in those views, and shows me a matrix of these clashes. Now, this obviously looks a bit messy and it looks a bit overwhelming, but to make it easier for you, let's say I want to find out what are the various clashes between, let's say, the mechanical model and the structure model, or mechanical model and the architecture model. Excuse me. So in this case, I could go and pick those models here. Let's say I want to find out what is the, or show me the clashes between, let's say, the 3D mechanical view of the MEP model, and then the 3D clash detection view of the structure model. As soon as I hit the apply button, it now filters down the clashes and it says, if grouped by mechanical elements, there are 27 clashes. If grouped by structural elements, there are 8 clashes. So we normally click on the elements or the discipline that needs to move. Obviously, we are not going to move structure for mechanical. So I'm going to click on mechanical here. As soon as I do that, remember it has automatically run automated clashes in the background. I didn't have to do anything. It has automatically picked those two models up, has placed them in the right coordinates, obviously, because they were modeled and shared with the right coordinates. And then it does automated clash detection between those two. And it's telling me that there are a total of 27 clashes. And now I can look at this model and find out where exactly are those clashes. How cool is this? So if anyone of you have heard of a program called Navisworks, Navisworks does this for you as well. But in Navisworks, you have to manually do it. Whereas in this case, the program does it automatically for me, because I told the program that the folder in which I'm going to upload all my models is a folder called shared model, where it automatically copies all the shared files, and then it performs this clash detection between these two models. And now I can start working on these clashes and start working on resolving these clashes. So let's, in this case, I find out that there's a clash between this element here and this structural element. If I click on this clash, it actually highlights it here in my excuse me, in my Clash browser. Alternatively, I can highlight a clash in the Clash browser, and it highlights that in the actual window for me as well. So you could do it either way. So let's say this is the clash, and I need to notify somebody about this clash, that they need to resolve it. And this is where I can now click on this clash and I can go and say issue. What this does is it then creates an issue about this clash. And then I can, excuse me, as I mentioned earlier, I can notify an individual or a role or a company about this. Alternatively, I could go and click an element. So if I go and, for example, click on this element here, it highlights all the clashes with this element. So it's telling me that there are a total of 4 clashes with this element here. So I could either pick an element or I can pick individual clashes, and I can decide what I want to do with it. So for example, in this case, I'm going to go and just pick this element here. So let's turn off everything else. So I'm going to go and say, I want to find out what are the clashes, or I want to resolve this clash here. So I'm going to pick this clash, and I'll say I want to create an issue about this clash. It says, where do you want to place the issue pin? Just sorry, give me a sec. I'll just quickly grab some more water. Just give me 2 seconds.
Okay. Okay, so guys, so I hope you're learning a lot. So once more, shout out to our friends who are in the architecture, engineering, and the construction industry. So for attendance, we will be giving away certificate of event participation. To avail that, simply comment down your full name and the school or company name. Okay, so going back to Deepak.
Thanks, Shamak. All right, so I want to place an issue pin here. The concept of issue pin is when I come back to this issue, or when I take it to Revit, which view it's going to show it to me from. We'll say that this is a coordination clash issue. It automatically defines the title here. I can go and delete this title and create my own title here. Let's say clashing elements, if I could spell them right, obviously. And this is where I can decide to assign it to a user, a role, or a company. Let's say in this case, I want to assign it to this user here. I can say that you need to fix this problem by next week. You can also define the location of this. Where exactly is this clash here? So we'll go and say this is in basement. I'm a big fan of root cause here. So in this case, we're going to go and say that this is a design coordination root cause, because as I showed you earlier, we can go onto the insight page and I can display all my issues by root cause here. So makes it a bit easier for me to understand what are the main problems or what are the main causes of the issues in my project. So once I'm done with this, I'll go and say create. As soon as I click create, it now creates an issue. But at the same time, it also removes that clash from the list, because the program knows that you've already created an issue about this, so it doesn't need to show you that here. But this is all good. Now, how do we fix this clash? How does the user in Revit know where the clash is? And this is where what we have in Revit is what we call as BIM 360 issues plugin. So if I go and open the same Revit model here, which in this case is the MEP model, and what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to download my BIM 360 issues in here. So let me go into the 3D mechanical view. And now if I go to the issues plugin, I can go and manage issues. Let me do a refresh here. And I can even control what all folders the issues are coming from. So I could go and say the issues that I want need to be coming from, let's say, the original structure or MEP folder where this is located. But I also want the issues from the shared folder as well. So if I go and say shared folder, open, it now loads all the issues from the shared folder as well. And as soon as I do that, I can straight away see that this issue, the issue that I created today, the date to fix this was April 20th. And if I go and click on this issue here, it even takes me to that view where that element was and even highlights the element that was clashing. So it does all that for me. It creates what we call as the issue pins as well. So in this case, it's showing me these issue pins here as spheres as well. If I change the visual style, which in this case is controlled by my visibility graphics information. So let's actually not worry about it because it's controlled by the view template. Let's say I want to turn off the visibility graphics override. And that's okay. So you guys get the idea. So I'll just leave it as this view here. So we can now see the element that is clashing. And the really cool thing is that once I have fixed that element that is clashing, let me turn off the line weights. So once I've fixed the element that was clashing, I can then go into this issue and I can specify an answer to this issue. I can change the status of this, but most importantly, I can also go and define an attachment. So let's say in this case, I'm going to go and create an activity here. I'll start with changing the status of this to answered. I'll go and say model updated. You will see it in the next share. And I'll go and say done. And as soon as I do that, it now changes the status of this issue from Revit. But most importantly, when I go back into my browser window, let me close out of this view here. And if I go into all my issues area, so let's go into the issues area here. And up the top here, the issue that was created earlier today, where it was a clashing element issue, I changed the status of that issue in Revit, and I can straight away see that issue has been answered here as well. So it's a really cool closed loop process where you can start with creating the issue in BIM 360, in BIM model coordination module, or even the document management module. You can then take those issues into Revit. You can action those issues in Revit, and then you can then change the status of those issues. You can add some description. So if I go in here and look at this issue, I can see the status is changed to answered. I can look at various activities here. And if I go in here, it tells me that the status was changed by this user here, and that was the comment that was added. So it's a really cool closed loop process where you create the issue, you notify somebody about this, they take the action, they then change the status of the issue, you get notified. And if I had my emails open, I would actually get emails about this process as well, because you might not have your BIM Collaborate Pro or your document management window open in front of you. So in that case, you get an email about the change of notification. And as soon as you do that, you click on that notification in the email, and it takes you to the issue for you to take a look at what's been happening in that environment. So BIM Collaborate Pro basically lets you work closely with Revit and your cloud-based environment, where you could look at your models, you could compare different versions of the model, you can look at automated clashes between different elements. You could also go and share different packages with different teams and so on. And the whole concept is it lets you deliver a project in a collaborated, controlled environment, which means that when you are working with your additional, your other teams, your extended team members, you know exactly what's happening in the project, you know exactly what's going on, which means that the chances of making those stupid mistakes actually are reduced dramatically. So that's all I have in my presentation. I will hand it back to Joe, Mark, and Nelsie. So guys, if you want to if anybody has questions about anything, I'm more than happy to answer those questions now.
Okay, so once more, many thanks to Deepak. So, yep, the floor is now open. If you have questions or clarifications, I guess the first question is the cost for this to those who are listening right now, the professionals.
So the cost varies depending on the region you're in. Obviously, the cost that you would pay in Philippines would be different from the cost that we
Yeah,
would
yeah.
pay here. So it would be different. As students, you get access to the software for free, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about the cost at this stage. But if there are some professionals out there, as I said, the cost varies depending on the region you're in. I'm not sure what would the cost be in Philippines though.
Okay, so if someone purchased Revit, do they have a Collaborate Pro right away, or is it a separate add-in or add-on?
It's an additional add-on. It doesn't come with Revit. It's an additional subscription that sits on top of Revit.
Okay, so the difference, what happened to BIM 360 and BIM 360 design, BIM 360 docs?
Yeah. So BIM 360 design is what we call as BIM Collaborate Pro now. But BIM Collaborate Pro also includes model coordination. So BIM 360 design did not include model coordination, which is our automated clashes. That was not included. Whereas BIM Collaborate Pro includes model coordination. So it's BIM 360 design plus model coordination.
Okay, so yep, I think that's that's the question. That's the only question for now. And yeah, for those who are latecomers, this will be recorded. And if ever you have questions in the near future, feel free to comment down on the replay of this video. So once more, thank you so much, Deepak. It's been an honor and a pleasure. So to our professionals attending right now, yeah, we just gave you one of the top rated speakers with regards to Autodesk. So not from
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you.
okay.
And again, Joe Mark and Nelsie, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk to students. As I said, I love talking to students, and this is where I think if we get the right information to the people when they are studying their degree or whatever they are studying, it is important for the industry, because that way they are graduated with the right information and they can help the industry improve a lot more.
Yep. Actually, just to share, this is one of our challenges in the Philippines, Deepak. Even those who are in the college, they're not familiar with Revit. The only thing they know, most of them are AutoCAD, and we're trying our best to inform everyone about BIM and its benefits. So yeah.
Yeah. So I work closely with, as I said, with a few universities here. So if any university or college professor needs to have a chat about how to set up a course
Yeah.
related to BIM, which includes Revit and Navisworks and model coordination and so on, I'm more than happy to help them out.
Yeah, because everyone, the perception here is BIM is all about a specific software. So yeah, we really wanted them to know about the workflow.
Yeah, BIM is about the workflows. It's not about the software.
Any suggestions for those who would like to learn Collaborate Pro on their own for now?
Uh, yes,
Any
so
links?
there are quite a few YouTube videos out there. I would definitely recommend them having a look at those YouTube videos. Just search BIM Collaborate Pro or BIM 360 Design. It's the same thing.
Okay, so I think we have one question. And who will identify the clashes if that is model issues or design issues? Hmm.
That's a brilliant question. So normally, BIM Collaborate Pro, the model coordination module is uh, monitored by what we call as discipline leads. So, for example, let's say if the structural discipline lead has shared a package, and the mechanical discipline lead has also shared the package. So, when they are looking at the automated clashes, it is the discipline leads who would look at the clashes and they'll say, right, so that's the ductwork clashing with the structural element here. So we need to do something about it. So between structure and mechanical, or structure and services, it's pretty straightforward. You know exactly who needs to move and so on. But if it is services against services, then this is where your BIM execution plan will have a hierarchy, and the priority of the services as to which service will stay and which service moves. So in answer to your question, it is your BIM execution plan that controls which element moves, but it is the responsibility of the discipline leads to look at those clashes and action them. Sorry, I can't hear you. Did I lose you?
Another question is sorry. Another
Yeah.
question is if we are going to adapt Collaborate Pro, who should handle Collaborate Pro? Is it the BIM manager? What's the job title for that person
Yeah, it is
handling?
normally either the BIM managers or the BIM coordinators. When you're working in a collaborative environment on a project, there would be someone who would take the responsibility of setting up the
Yeah.
project. And normally it is the architects who would take the responsibility, or it'll be the contractor. It depends. In most cases, we have seen it's the architect that takes the responsibility of setting up the project. So it'll be the project would be set up on their account, and various services and disciplines can bring their own BIM Collaborate Pro license and work in a collaborative environment. But
I'm
the
not sure.
role but the role
Yeah,
would
yeah.
either be BIM managers or BIM coordinators.
Mm. I'm not sure about the question of Ian, meaning all the consultant must have BIM
That,
Collaborate Pro.
that is correct. So anybody who needs to work in that collaborative environment needs to
Yeah.
have a subscription of BIM Collaborate Pro. That is correct.
Okay, from Luis Ibanez, is it possible to modify or delete the package in the design collaboration? For example, uploaded a wrong package.
Okay, so what happens is you can delete a package from your swim lane if you have not shared the package yet. As soon as you have shared the package, then you can't delete it. But what you can do is, for example, let's say you made a mistake and you shared the wrong package. Then what you could do is you could then create and share the right package. And what it does is it then overwrites the old files with the new files or new set of files, which means that the other disciplines will not see those older changes. They'll see the new model with the new changes. That is correct, Ian. All the consultants must have BIM Collaborate Pro if they need to work in that collaborative environment. Yeah, Jomak, I think you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yep. Uh, so yeah, including the MEPF, which generally means all who are stakeholders of a specific project, right, Deepak?
That is correct. Yeah. So I did a class at Autodesk University in 2018 with one of our customers. They are one of the largest architectural firms here in Australia, and they had an office in Manila as well. So between
Mm.
Australia and Manila, they so all the documentation was done in Manila. So that's where they used this technology to share the information with the team in Manila, and anybody who wanted to work on this live environment, they needed a license for that as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yep. Once more, thank you so much, Deepak. I guess that's the last question. And yeah, hoping to have you once more, probably before the year ends or next year. And yeah, hoping to see you in person in the
Thanks,
Philippines.
Joma. Thanks, Jomak, and thanks, Nelsie, again for giving me the opportunity. I hope those students found it useful, and all the best.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye,
Thanks.
Deepak. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Okay, so one of our mission is to elevate Philippines with the use of BIM technology. So hoping this session with a top-rated Autodesk University speaker was helpful to everyone. And yes, Deepak is highly active in LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with him in LinkedIn if you have additional comments or suggestions. So, yep, if you're interested in bringing Autodesk BIM in your academic institutions, feel free to contact us anytime. So, yep, including if you would like to have an Autodesk software training in your academic institutions. So yeah, we just gave you a top rated AU speaker and not someone from a reseller. Okay, so the intent here is for you to learn, and our intent here is for everybody to learn. And we're not selling anything. We're informing, and we're hoping that we elevate humanity, the world through CAD technologies and sustainable technologies. So, yep. Once more, thank you everyone. For those who would like to receive a certificate of event participation, once more, feel free to comment down your full name, school, or company name. Okay, so I'll be giving the floor to Miss Nelsie for additional announcements.
Hi everyone. We'll be starting releasing the certificate of event participation right now. So everyone, please do message us in meetup.com and uh, state your name, school and company name, and the uh, title or topic, no? For example, Nelsie Marceliana, CADCOM Asia, design smarter and build faster using Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. So, kindly message us now, no? We'll be giving siguro mga 2 hours lang or 1 hour to claim your certificate, no? So, those who join us to or our 60 viewers, you'll be able to receive your certificate of event participation. Just drop us a message at meetup.com.
Okay, so we have a question. Pwede po ba manood student? Opo, this is free to all. So we encourage everyone to watch the replay. Once more, This is for everyone who are interested to be in the AEC industry. Specifically, the meaning of AEC is architecture, engineering, and construction. Okay, so before we end this live stream once more, we'd like to say thank you to our partners and supporters, specifically Bataan Peninsula State University, JPSME, Palawan State University, SEAT, College Student Government, CPSU, JPSME, sana maging PME na tayo. Okay, to our friends in Digital Creatives Philippines, IRIS, College of Engineering Student Government, Enscape, users worldwide, JPSME Batangas chapter, JPSME CMU chapter, Don Mariano Marcos State University MLUC JPSME, thank you. JPSME USJR, Mapua Manufacturing and Mechanical Engineering Student Council, Holy Angel University, Junior Unit JPSME, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Student Unit, PSME, PSME Bicol, Regional Council of Students. Sino pa ba? Paranaque, PSME Paranaque Chapter, PSME Metro South Chapter, PSME University of Batangas Student Chapter, NEUST, JPSME, Technological University of the Philippines, JPSME, UAPSA, Adamson University, UAPSA, FEU, UAPSA, Malayan colleges. To our friends in RTU, UMETS, thank you guys. To our friends in Bicol, BISCAST, UAPSA, Technological University of the Philippines, Taguig University Student Government, and to our friends in Wacom Users Community. Ayan po. So once more, we hope this was helpful. And yeah, any more announcements, Miss Nelsie?
Okay, thanks everyone for joining. I'll be responding your messages in Meetup.
Ayan. So to those who would like to avail of that certificate, message Miss Nelsie now in Meetup. So once more, thank you all. And see you this coming Friday. I think the latest training for Autodesk will be this Friday at 7 p.m. Okay, let me share my screen. Our upcoming free training, uh, the earliest and the nearest is, okay, I'm showing it to you now, will be Master 2D Sketching in Fusion 360. This one is set for Friday at 7 p.m. April 20. Dynamo for Civil 3D and Sheet Set Manager. April 30. Master 2D Sketching in Inventor. May 10. Autodesk Revit Structure Basics Part 1. So once more, if you think this upcoming live stream, the training is beneficial to someone you know, please invite them to join us. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell for you to be notified and be reminded. Also, for every specific live stream training suggesting you click the set reminder. Ayan po, set reminder. So as you can see here, I'm seeing there's a countdown. Master 2D Sketching and Fusion 360 will be live after 3 days on at 7 p.m. So that's simple as that. If you're going to ask for the registration forms are in each of this event. Oh, so for example, this page for this YouTube event, you can see here the form. Okay, so Every event has a unique form. So yeah, feel free to register if you're interested in attending that specific training. Also, thank you so much to all Cyber Force. You know who you are. Thank you so much. Okay, so yep. See you this coming Friday for Fusion 360 2D sketching. Ayan. Thank you po and goodbye everyone. Thank you, Miss Nancy.
Looking to unleash your creativity? Enscape is a real-time rendering plugin that integrates smoothly into your design workflow. Compatible with SketchUp, Revit, ArchiCAD, Rhino, and Vectorworks. It connects seamlessly into your BIM and CAD software, easy to use and no prior knowledge required. With just one click, you can create 3D visualizations, and within seconds, you can find yourself exploring your fully rendered project. Experience a building before it's built. Virtual reality will enable you to create immersive experiences that communicate your ideas and engage your audience. Thanks to live link technology, project changes can be viewed in real time, which means they're immediately visible to yourself, your team, or your clients. Collaboration and real-time rendering is easy. Capture and communicate annotated feedback and make design reviews more efficient. Export functions such as high-resolution images, panorama, video, and standalone files give you multiple ways to present your projects. Enscape has transformed architectural visualization into something accessible for everyone, making it a powerful tool to use in daily workflows. With fast rendering times and ease of use, it gives you more time to focus on designing, modeling, and texturing your projects. See how effortless it is to create high-quality renders with Enscape, and sign up for a free 14-day trial today.
One day you wake up and realize your ambition has become to design a better world. And from that point forward, you see your life's work in a whole new way. You create, you conceptualize, you fashion, you form. You give shape, space, and ideas a life of their own. You design, model, and visualize. And with the cloud, you simulate. You use automation to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. You communicate, analyze, and share, and you collaborate with others, engineers, architects, designers, and builders, working together in the cloud. You optimize, plan, and fabricate, and then you build. You build the world that you imagine. You realize all of this in Revit.